He really should. He really should. It's a technology battle that I think you already have. Number one, you have the $800 mic. You got the golden mic. It's the mic we all need. It's the mic we'll all have eventually. Right. You know, ain't no bones about it.
Blasi's sitting on a wad over there. He'd kiss my ass. He'd go get one if he wants one.
Exactly right. But he's just too damn hard-headed, isn't he? He refuses to think. I had this conversation last night doing a fantasy football
He's just like
draft.
both of us. We're all fucking psycho. We really are. We're all psycho in our own ways.
We are.
We're just. I've come to the real. I thought I was. I realized everybody's crazy. It ain't just me. Everybody's crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Especially us three. We're crazy enough to tell everybody.
I know. What's been fun is that they've got the. Blasi knew you well ahead of me. I knew of you from the stories of Blasi, and then you've gotten to know me over the years, or over the year and a half years. We could say plural at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
And of course, you've gotten to know me basically just like we're doing right here, right now, face to face over the computer. But man, what a time to be alive that we could do that, because we couldn't spend all this amount of time that we've gotten to spend without doing it any other way, honestly.
No, I said that when we were doing Justin's podcast, all those guests we had and people from all over places, even, who we've had on this show from different, several states away and things. I mean, that would be impossible back in the day.
Impossible.
I mean, a phone call would have been about as all you could get, and somebody would have had to run a line through back end of the phone to try to record it. I mean, It would, and then put it in an envelope and send it to somebody to make sure.
Cut it up.
Put it on a radio station somewhere.
Yeah,
and all that.
Unbelievable how it's changed. I mean, I would think just from the beginning of you being a tour manager and working with John Party to now currently with what you do with Justin Moore is just a total night and day change. And we'll get into that here in just a second.
For sure. No, but talking about getting to know each other, I hung out with you and Tammy once in my hood, and then you and Riles came to a show, and it was like. It makes sense, but we act like that's what we've said. The theme of our show since Blasi coined it early episode. It's just spitting truth over here. It's what the Bubba thing. It was when we were talking about the Bubba thing. It's like, I'm not picking sides. I'm just telling you what happened. This is it. These are facts. This is truth. We just act like ourselves on here. So when I finally did get to run into you, it's exactly, you know what I mean? I already knew. I knew you had to be a little cracked to want to hang out with Blasi on the reg. So
hell, anybody should be. Sense. You know what I mean? It's not quite right.
Yeah. Three.
Hell, I idolize him, still do. And I know he's crazy.
I mean, I don't, but I love him, yes. But I understand now he's in character.
This is the guy I met. Yeah, he comes up, rolls up, shakes my hand, breaks my pinky. I watch him go out there, talk to the prettiest girl, drive away in the coolest car. I'm like listening to the hottest music. I'm like, he had the fresh polo on. Everybody else's was just a little dingy because we had to wash it a few times. He had that fresh one on. He had a special additive to his wash in college.
He had a golf ball 475 right down the damn middle.
Oh yeah. He was on the track. He'd go out there on our intramurals and beat the damn track team in track and field events.
Unreal.
After we'd had a party the night before. That's a true story.
That part's true. The rest of it, I don't know about all that, but I do appreciate it. I'll take it.
I bet you do.
Since the guy driving the coolest truck and having the DVD player in there before I'd even seen one in a vehicle. So yeah, let's don't act like you're over there just bumming around.
Game recognizes game, babies.
Book your next tee time at Cypress Bend Golf Resort in Toledo Bend Lake Country. The stunning redesigned course welcomes players of all levels, from new golfers to seasoned pros. Located along Toledo Bend Lake, the course features 10 unforgettable waterfront holes with lush fairways and panoramic views. Big fun awaits you beyond the greens. Book a guided fishing trip at our world-class fishery. Visit the new Toledo Bend Family Adventure Park. Swing into action and plan your dream getaway to Toledo Bend Lake Country today.
Everybody, welcome back to Tigs Bits. Here we are. Y'all know the time. Y'all know the place. We rocking and rolling. I'm JR the handler. Blasi the one-man posse. Corndog Barty, a.k.a. Tigs, a.k.a. Tig Nasty, a.k.a. Brantley the man on the ones and twos, making this thing come out every week. What's up, gang? We started off talking about how we were all psycho. Blasi rolls in late after week. He harasses me about my punctuality, so only fitting I had to beat him to the punch today. I'm on time. Sorry I missed last week, Bubba Nation. Bubba Army. I hate.
You had a good excuse, I think. Well, Jr. I know that we had a lot of people in our lives. By the way, you go and not sure when this podcast comes out. Seth will be getting this one a little bit earlier, probably this week, so it may drop on Thursday or Friday. But whenever you're listening to it, we go live every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Jump in that chat with us, man. It has been blowing up. We've been having a ton of fun. JR was in there on Thursday. Little truth behind this. I think we mentioned it on last week's Bubba podcast. It was very fresh. We recorded last Thursday at noon. JR was not able to attend. JR, give everybody the reasons of your poor performance last week.
There was no
buddy.
performance.
Yeah, no lack thereof. Just missed the bus. This was like the time I was late to the day of Elmore County basketball tournament, senior year in high school basketball. I show up late to bus call, miss the bus, have to drive myself to Wetumpka or Prattville, wherever we were playing, and coach benches me. I have to sit there, watch the whole game, and drive myself home just because I was late. It's some things never change. But no, I was on the road. We had played the Louisville State or Kentucky State Fair on Wednesday. We were going to record the next day at noon, and I woke up at the crack of 1 p.m. and just totally missed our whole podcast. It was a long run. I was, this whole last few weeks, and then that Alaska doozy. I'm telling you, boys,
jet lag
I'm running on steam. It's all I can do. It's all I can do. But it not nothing on the podcast. Just in general, it's just that dog days of summer. Summertime blues. All them. They don't write songs about it because it don't happen. And it's just I was lagging a little. I have literally been, since we got back from the Alaska trip, I have not ate, slept, and everything's just been off. Like I've slept in the middle of the day, not slept at night, not wanted to eating right, crazy stuff. But I feel like I'm going to get over this hump here soon and get back adjusted. Probably not this week because I've got to get on a plane to New York City tomorrow.
Yeah, so. JR, I looked at the tour schedule, brother. I don't think this road gets any easier for you over the next couple of months.
Yep. Hey, it's like you look back all the things you dream about. Yeah, it's like all the things you dream about when you're on the way up. Then you get there, it's like, shit, watch out. I don't know if it rolled like this. And dream bigger. That's what I always tell people, dream bigger.
That's
right.
No,
it's fine. It's just one of those things, and just pacing yourself and being prepared. I've got a lot of irons in the fire at home, too, and I mean, obviously doing this, 6-8 hours a week as we do, it takes up a little time. So it's the crunch in there, and hell, I'll be 45 in 2 weeks, boys. I'm feeling a little. I know y'all are ringing. Y'all rung the bell. Y'all get it.
Catching
so it's
to me.
and this, and I'm not, and with I hadn't been taking care of myself either. I ain't gonna say it's all on all the external factors. I haven't been eating right. I could do better at that. I haven't been in the gym. I could do better at that. That's on me. But
it's
a combination of the few, I'm running at like 60% of this machine's capability right now. But I'm after New York, we got a bunch of southern dates where it's leave on Wednesday, get home on Sunday. Charlotte, Raleigh, Arkansas, Macon. Normal runs, not doo-doo Wisconsin at the very top of the earth, and then back across to New Mexico, and then now we've been to Alaska, to Washington D.C., then home, then to Wisconsin, back, and now New York City. And leaving New York City after the show. We're playing Fox and Friends that morning. After the show, we'll go back to the airport for a noon flight. So the thing, while I'm in New York City, got to be on site at about 3:30 in the morning to get stuff ready for this Fox and Friends deal. I'll get on the airplane at noon that day, go to Arkansas, get on the bus because we got a show that next day in South Arkansas.
Now, are y'all bringing your own gear to all of these shows, Alaska and all of that, or
no, Alaska, you'll do what they call a fly date. We'll advance backline production. They'll have,
guitars, their
instruments. We send them a list of all that stuff. Yeah, we'll bring guitars and some things, bass guitars, some drum heads. Our crew all have Pelican cases with exactly what they need: microphones, in-ear monitors, wireless packs, that kind of stuff. But we advance as much as we can when it's that far off. And then for like a Fox and Friends, they have it in-house. They do it every week. They got all their stuff. There's New York City, too. You can get anything you need. That's the big thing about a fly date. If you're doing a fly date somewhere off in the middle of nowhere and they got to get gear, the biggest town they got is Omaha, and that's 2 hours one way.
Right.
You're going to be a little limited on gear. You play in New York, L.A., Chicago, you got big it's going, you get whatever you
Call
want
somebody
there.
down the street, they got it.
Yeah,
Literally.
they've got the best they've got the
in the building, probably.
Yeah, I mean, as craziest stuff as you can imagine. So,
yeah.
But then we just bouncing forth back between those and buses. But 90% of our stuff is bus. I mean, rarely do we do fly dates. That Alaska thing, that's usually a once a year thing when we go to Alaska, Hawaii, Mexico, even Canada. We usually do once or twice. But we bus it because if you look at Canada, it's huge up there. But there's only one little spot where there's any action on the East Coast, and then there's 2 places on the West Coast that are still 8 hours from anywhere.
Man, just banging back. Hey, let me ask you this on this Fox and Friends deal. I'm trying to remember. Y'all set up. He plays like on a stage outside, right? Like
Correct.
throughout the morning, like 2 or 3 different songs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually play for like an hour.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
they only clip and record some of it, and they use some for other stuff. And there's a crowd out there. Oh, and the last few times, protesters for anything you can think of lined up around the street, and just random. I mean, it's just wild. It's New York, man. It's wild walking through there,
Yeah, we'll have to be checking that out because what'll be cool is podcasts should be dropped, and then people can go check. Do you know the time slot at all, or is it just?
I'll find out. It's early. It's early in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
be
that's
watching
cool,
on air 7 something to 8 something in the morning.
Yeah, be watching Fox Friends. You might see the handler working around the stage there a little bit.
Right.
Oh yeah, I'll have that Bubba Koozie trying to sneak it in. Like I'll make sure I'm on stage on a film segment on the side and have the Koozie pointing the right way. 100%.
Oh, that'd be awesome. He'll love that.
I might wear my Air Bubba shirt. That way everybody can really see.
I think you should.
Oh, yeah.
I usually go full pearl snap. I go full cowboy, but most of my stuff's on the bus, so I'm just taking like a duffel bag full of 2-night cowboy outfits. So it'll be a little more tamed down. It'll be a little more tamed down on these.
Well, speaking of Bubba stuff, man, last night did a fantasy football draft. My son, let me back up. My son did a fantasy football draft last night at Buffalo Wild Wings. It was hilarious. They're all a bunch of 6th graders. Got pretty intense, but I'm sitting there talking. It was fun because I just had to set him up on his iPad, get him ready to rock and roll, and then I just hung out and
watch his little brain go to work.
Yeah, and just watched him work, and it was fun. But I was visiting with a buddy of mine, Lance, and he was telling me that he was on a Zoom call this past week. I think he said this past Friday, and he comes into this call. He's in sales. He comes into the call. These guys are hot. They're going in. They're talking. They're already just in the middle of some conversation, and it's all about wrestling. He wasn't expecting this because these cats are from Minnesota. Not that means anything. I mean, Brock Lesnar is from freaking Minnesota, I'm pretty sure. So who cares? But
AWA was out of Minnesota for years.
But he was just not expecting to. He wasn't expecting to tap into that Zoom call and hear them talking about wrestling. And then, bam! Somehow or another, he's a huge wrestling fan, and I'm gonna have him on the show. He does fishing stuff and things like that, and I'm like, Lance, just come on the show. He has a couple of fishing videos that's had millions of views. He was out fishing in this P-row, and it wasn't a P-row, it was a kayak. But yeah, I mean, we're in Louisiana. Let's make it sound better. But he's out in the kayak, and an alligator came up right by, like a 14, 15-foot alligator. That video went viral. So anyhow, I want to get Lance on. But to get to the point of this story, he asked them, did they know anything about Bubba the Love Sponge? To which they responded, yes, they knew exactly who that was. And then their conversation got a little bit more to where they had to kind of just move back to business as they started kind of peeling it. A couple of the guys, he said, knew who he was. A couple of them didn't. So yeah, I wish I could have heard that call.
That's funny. Hey, the that wrestling hit, Bubba being involved in the wrestling, people who aren't into wrestling don't understand how big the wrestling world is. Like I can remember when Justin, I would tell him stuff. He's like, I was like, he said it's a lot bigger than people think it. And I said, dude, the internet wrestling community itself is. You think about how many fans from how many decades loved wrestling, and they're still churning them out now. I mean, it's as big as any other sport, really. I mean,
I'm
really.
Gonna tell you right now,
the people who don't know about it wouldn't think that, but everyone inside knows. It's like being into Comic-Con stuff or anything like that. People from the outside don't realize how big that is, but when you get there, you're like, good Lord.
Well, and a lot of those guys intertwine. Like DDP does a lot of those Comic-Con things, and it's interesting how, and actors, and old movies and stuff. I mean, it's a great way to continue to make a living off of your name, image, and likeness. That's your
and
NIL
provide
ticket.
somebody that entertainment and that memory, because somebody who goes and sits and sees, I don't know, Dolph Lundgren hanging out at a Comic-Con, and then next to, say, the DDP or somebody, dude, that's bringing them back. They're getting a piece of that great memory in their time in their life, and they're getting to actually see and be around somebody who was involved. It's not watching, Paul Newman on a movie. You never gonna get to talk to Paul Newman, but you get to say hey to the Undertaker at some point in your life. You know what I mean? You get to take a picture with the Taker, or a picture with,
Stone Cold, like you
Stone
did.
Cold, anything like that.
Absolutely,
Anybody,
absolutely.
Or the guy who wrote some horror movie, or whatever you're into, whatever, or created some video game. I mean, there's, you take a Stan Lee or somebody, or that's the mecca, but people under that umbrella. There's people that kids like Riley's age now know that we don't even know about, that they would fill it up too. It's like the Taylor Swift deal and all that stuff.
For sure.
There's
Tammy, my wife, got a little. She saw on the counter yesterday this little piece of paper, and it was to join a club at school, the 6th grade Dungeons and Dragons club. And Tammy went, "Oh Lord, do you think he's?" I said, "Hey, let him go for it. I mean, what's wrong with that? He's been into Pokemon. He likes football.
It is what it
cares?
is. Yeah, dude. It hasn't been around. It had that thing. How long has Dungeons and Dragons been around? 75 years.
Oh,
it ain't been around that long because people don't like it. Obviously, a lot of people are into it.
Yeah, exactly. And they're going to be playing the card game version of, like, the old school. I never played it. I never got into it, but I think had I been exposed to it, I probably would have enjoyed it. I think it's what's that show that's on Netflix? It's Stranger Things. They play that in that
nostalgic
a lot. I think,
stuff.
and he's been watching that over the summer. I think that's kind of what.
Oh, that kind of bubbled this thing up for him a little bit.
Being from the sticks, like anime and things, I got a very little touch of that with like Voltron and some of those type things you would get to get. But we were all into comic books, which was still considered same thing. The precursor to all that. Dungeons and Dragons held the title forever. But I remember my little brother, who's only 4 years younger than me, got into Magic the Gathering when it was new. So this would have been like mid-90s or so, and it was new, and I thought it was silly because I'm like, we're into superheroes like fighting, I don't even understand how this game works, because I never played Dungeons and Dragons. I knew people, but I didn't know how it worked. Well, hindsight, he's got a box of them. Had we put those things in sleeves and saved them, I could retire. Right. I thought it was, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was just a little gimmick game. 30 years later, it's huge. Those cards are worth thousands of dollars if you've got the right ones, and people are playing worldwide tournaments. It's in 100 countries. I mean, things like that.
Unreal.
Yeah,
Sailor Moon. I mean, all that anime stuff. That stuff's even over here. I mean, it's huge.
That true. It's as big as it gets.
It's crazy, all the little niches and different things that are out there. There's a couple in our neighborhood I see up at the brewery a lot, and their son, who's, I want to say he's 16 or 17. Right now he's 17, but for like the last year, he has been traveling the world. He is one of the top gamers for, it's the internet game where these cars play soccer against each other. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's a computer-based game. He's one of the best.
League.
Yes, in Rocket League. Hey, they pay him like $150,000 a year base, pay for all his travel, pay for everything expense-wise. Then he gets commission on top of what they win. This kid's making like $500,000 a year. And he travels around the world, literally playing this dang game. And I was like, that's so dang awesome. Because it's like, what do I do? It's like, you go. You know what I mean? Like, we can go back and do school later. Like, you know what I mean? Let's see how much cash you stack up, Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was just kind of super cool. He's, of course, he's a very smart kid. Yeah.
A niche thing like that. Yeah. Wow. Huge.
Time is your most valuable asset.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a fact. I did a little calculation today, boys. I've had something that I saw on the internet from our good friend, Mr. Paul Rogers. He discussed this. He's talking about his Apple Watch and his Move rings, and he has his calories set and all that. I've been on a 1,330-day streak of hitting my Move goal of 700 calories per day. That's not why I'm subtly flexing on this. I'm flexing on this because Apple Watch, the latest operating system that's coming out, the beta, 11, it's going to allow you to pause streaks. Like my 1,330-day streak is an actual streak. Like it's been 1,330 days in a row. Now, have there been times in that 1,330 that I wanted to pause this thing and take a weekend off? Hell yes.
Yeah.
For sure. But isn't that the whole point of a streak?
Yeah, why would they change that?
That's crazy. Why would they do that?
Yeah, you should be able to set up something you should be able to do up something separate to log your things to keep up with over time, but it's not a streak if you break it at any point.
Exactly. Random things that I have on my list that I'm looking at in front
we don't need
of
to go down we don't need to go down that road of things that we are making softer and weaker by the day for whatever reason. I was listening to NPR, they're bringing the I think it's the ACT. They're bringing the ACT down to a shorter time, so it won't be 2.5 hours anymore. It'll be a good considerable amount less. They're going from 200 something questions down to 170. A lot of it's going to be multiple choice, and it's going to be less choices on the multiple choice. I'm like, so we making things. How are we going to get better if we're making things easier? That's not the answer, right?
That is not the answer.
Hey, I got something really cool today in the mail. I had no idea what it was. This big, heavy box, and I opened it up, and I was like, "Man, what is this? I don't even know who this is from." It's like, this all this stuff. It's all these packages in there, and dude, it's all that T-Bird seasoning, man.
Oh yeah,
oh my gosh, and sauces and salsa and everything else.
So
there he is. There he is.
That's that avocado serrano salsa.
Hey man, that stuff is killer.
Yeah, Sharice.
Put that
I hear the mail lady ring the doorbell. Dog barks. A little bit later, Sharice goes to the front door. She closes the door. Doesn't bring in the mail. She said something for you. It says fragile glass. I didn't want to mess with it. I was like, all right. I pick it up. Same thing. I'm like, man, very well wrapped too.
Oh yeah.
Good use of postal supplies.
Absolutely, that's what I thought about.
I saved a few that weren't tarnished to go use them for my stuff.
Hey, that's obviously they've shipped some stuff, and they've had something break, and they've learned their lessons, hadn't they?
Smart.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Awesome. Out of Marshall, Texas, here you got T-Bird's original barbecue sauce and glaze. That's going to go on something soon.
Oh man, yes.
I got another bottle here. There was three glass jars, so it's a good thing they did that. If it would have been the typical, heavy cardboard and plastic deals.
Oh, of course.
The T-Bird's honey cayenne barbecue sauce. That looks strum-diddly umptious.
As Austin Dennis says, the holy grail of barbecue sauce.
Is that it?
So that's the one right there.
That's the one.
All right.
That's the one. Here's the difference in them. The blue bottle is just the regular. It's sweet. It's going to be kind of like your typical sweet southern molassesy barbecue, but it's not thick. It's a little bit of a thinner sauce. You can look in that bottle when you move it. That sauce will move a little bit.
Oh yeah.
See, it moves a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And they're both the same exact sauce. The difference is the honey cayenne has honey, and it has a little more honey, and it has cayenne in it. So it's just
the honey probably
it's the blue sauce
coagulate a little bit heavier.
It's just okay.
It's just the blue
a little
sauce
more viscosity in one than the other two.
I didn't realize the color code here they have, which is smart on their end to keep things color coded and not just a different label arrangement. To actually have the whole packaging that way, like the green. You obviously know that's the avocado.
That's
but then even on their rubs here, I've got one that says T-Bird's Wicked Chicken Rub.
Oh, you're going to love that one.
If y'all could, when y'all get, I know everybody's going to get them a can. It's got this warbird rooster with a axe and camo shorts. I mean, this guy looks ready for business. Don't he? He could have been in G.I. Joe as a bad guy or Ninja Turtles or something.
Oh, yeah.
And then this other one's we got T-Bird's All-Purpose Barbecue Rub. That's just going to go on everything. That is going to be fantastic. That's going to go on a elk steak for me soon. That's going to be an elk steak there.
You're going to love it.
While we're giving shout-outs, and not that I don't appreciate all of them individually and as a unit, but thanks to all of the people who send us cool stuff. And one of our guests that was on a few weeks ago, I finally got my supplies in from him at I Cook You Look. I got the Nice and Slow and the Any Reason Season.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm gonna take. Sorry, T-Birds. I'm going this first on that elk because I promised him, and then I'm going T-Birds. May even do a comparison, but I'm going to tell you, and I bet they both get a 10. So Thank
They
you guys
are.
for sending those.
They are.
And I know they're going to be that good. I'm not going to be able
Yeah,
to split hairs. I'm not.
It is splitting hairs. You can't go wrong. You can go and get Austin's at iCookYouLook.com. Go and check out his stuff. And you can get that T-Bird's amazing barbecue sauce and those rubs as well at Iron Smoke Craft Barbecue. It's ironsmokebbq.com, ironsmokebbq.com. And go support those guys. They're local businesses. They're doing their things. We like to support them, but as well. But I can tell you this, the T-Birds is 10 out of 10. It's been my secret sauce. I'm letting this go finally a little bit. I mean, they need to sell some stuff.
Yeah.
It's I guess
The
I got
secret is
the
out.
secret's
Yeah.
out. The secret's out.
I mean,
And,
they're both coming from Texas. You know, Texas knows what's up with some barbecue.
they do.
I
They
mean,
do. So
it's
you know
going to be good. You know it is. And how
Oh,
and
you're
can
gonna-
you can
you're
you ever
gonna
have
love it.
enough barbecue stuff?
No.
Never.
No, there's not enough of it out there. That's why folks can continue to make seasonings. Like, give us a little feedback out there.
Absolutely. And I'll continue
Bubba
to
Army,
make
would
room
y'all like to
in
see
my
a
house.
Tigs bit seasoning?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I rotate through them. I'll think of something that needs this, or somebody I know what they like, and I'm like, "Ooh, they would love this. Let me use this. This is right up their alley." You know, you got if you like to cook, which most of us do, and we definitely like to eat. So you can always
yeah.
you can always be if you don't like to cook, you can still participate in purchasing, buying, arranging, shipping, selling, helping out. Passing the knowledge of all these
Yep.
fine sauces and seasons by getting someone who does know how to cook or likes to cook some for a holiday or just a gift. You know, hey, I'm not going to
Great
help you
gifts.
cook today, but I brought you a big old thing of rub to use. It sure is good.
That's right.
There you
That
go.
is right.
And you can go sit back down and drink beer and watch and talk while they do all the work. I've been doing
That's
it for
it.
years.
Exactly right.
That's
Yeah,
it.
I made a good little video with that with the turkey. I cooked a boneless turkey, just your basic turkey, but I used the wicked chicken rub and another sauce, my T. Russ's Cypress Dust that y'all should
Oh, that's
Yeah,
just
be
got
getting
that
some of
too.
that soon
Yep.
as well. And then I cooked some chicken thighs, some chicken hips over the weekend, and finally got to use Austin's I Cook You Look. I used the low and slow barbecue rub. That's going to be good for chicken and pork. It's got a little more sugar in it. Fantastic. I had
Oh,
some
man.
Actually, I had some chicken thighs at lunch today. I had it today. What am I thinking? I had it for lunch. I've had it the last 3 days. Who am I kidding? But,
Tearing up these chicken thighs, huh? You're a big
Oh,
chicken
yeah.
thigh guy.
I love them.
Yeah, I'm
love
going
'em.
to start making room for seasoning. I was just looking on the table, had a bunch of stuff out. I was like, man, my seasoning and sauce game has really exploded
up.
here the
The
last
show
month.
has helped.
It really has, and it's
Hey,
fun.
I made some nuclear chicken, was it thighs or legs last week because I was trying to finish up a same size, a big jar of Rouse's Cajun seasoning, just their regular Rouse's Cajun seasoning.
Mm-hmm.
I had about that much in the bottom of the jar, but I'm like, I need the space for one of these I need the space for my two Cypress dust that came.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'll just finish it off. So I caked them on there good, and I hadn't used that in a while. It's got a little kick to it. And man, those legs were
heavy-handed.
nuclear, man. They were spicy. They were,
They were.
wake you up. I told Sharice I ate one bite, so we might have to make chicken salad out of this. Tame it down, a little mayo. But
Heck
Oh, yeah.
Heck
I
yeah. Well,
soldiered through
dude,
it.
speaking of food, of course, we love that. I sent this to you guys just a little bit before we jumped on. This story will be evergreen for a while. There is an uptick in sausage demand right now across America, and I read this article on CNBC. Of course, this can be a sign for consumers that consumers are tightening their belts as they're grappling with the high prices in the grocery stores. I can attest for that, dude. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's a lot cheaper to make your own sausage. Everybody listening out there, I like to make mine. If you can get a Boston butt on sale, 99 cents a pound. You can get you 15, 20 pound butt, and you've got $30 you can spend. You can grind that up, make that into your sausage, and you got 30 pounds of sausage for $30. That's a heck of a lot cheaper than any pack of Kaneka you can buy. The best in the world, Kaneka, that you can buy. But and our friends, who are they?
Kelly's sausage. Kelly's sausage in Elba, Alabama. That's right. Yeah, man, it's kind of interesting, but it makes perfect sense. People looking for a protein source. Sausage is good. You get a pound of sausage, you make some red beans and rice. You got, $7 in a meal. You know what I mean, for the family. You know what I mean, versus going and getting a steak and
bacon and sausage.
And all that
bacon
stuff.
And sausage go a long ways.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. So
I had when I got home last night, Sharice had purple whole peas with some nice hunks of the butcher box bacon in there and a side of brown rice, a couple chicken breasts. I mean, I went straight for the peas. I didn't even eat my chicken breast till today for lunch. I just peed. They were so good. Had some nice bacon up in it. Oh, she had it just right.
Oh, man.
Stuff.
Yes.
But that's interesting, and you're right, Brantley, and a lot of things are that way. You can go pay whatever you want, like even good barbecue. And I want people to go, if you're traveling, you're going somewhere and you know there's good there, get it. But if you're at home and you need to save a buck or two for a week, same thing. Go to the grocery store. Don't have a plan. I'm going to get a steak, or I'm going to go see what they got. Find you a good deal on something. Cook it at home. And I've seen, in talking about cooking, now we talked about the nice grills, and I don't have nice grills. I have grills, but mine are old, tired, smallest Traeger they make, but it's all I need. And if you got a good one, that's great too. There's nothing wrong with either one. But I have seen fantastic meals cooked on open flame, on a dang burn barrel with some wood, logs in the bottom over a grate. I've seen it cooked on open pit with just charcoals, and people wrap it real tight in aluminum foil, just stick it in there and that kind of stuff, over the years. Yeah. You can make, so you ain't got to go buy, you can't say, I ain't got $1,000 grill, so I can't cook nothing. No, you can cook something if you want to.
You can go get you an old smoky. They're $70. You can cook a whole brisket on a big the $70 old smoky.
Yeah.
That thing will last you 5-6 years, and
y'all
know another one in 5 or 6 years.
I know we all try not to do it, but if you go to fast food now, you're spending $10 to get full. I mean, it's only full for a few hours. So if you take 3 people, say, and you spend $30, like you said, you go buy a huge thing of leg quarters or whatever the deal is that day, and you get you a nice thing of good seasoning, a couple of veggies, some potatoes. Rice is always good. I don't care what nobody says. I don't know if it's on a diet or not. I'm always going to eat rice. Rice is just part of. It seems like a staple in the world for, the
centuries.
South. So, and then just some veggies. Anything you can think of. Any zucchini, squash, cauliflower, whatever they got that looks good and is on sale. Whatever's the bang for the buck that week, and you get $30 in, and you can feed everybody multiple meals. You got plenty to eat.
You're right.
You know what I mean? And it's not, for the same bang. And if you try to go eat that same meal out somewhere, you're talking about $30 per person, at least.
Absolutely.
Easily.
And you go, like you're talking about the fast food deal. I hadn't had fast food in over a month, not one time. And dude, I feel so much better. That's all empty calorie crap too, man, to begin
nothing
with.
To it.
Like you said, you're full, and then 2 hours later, you're hungry again because you just took in garbage. You know what I mean? So you're not getting any nutrients for your body. I mean, you might have to go to the bathroom in pretty quick, short order, because that's got to get out of you. But other than that, you ain't getting much out of the dang deal. But you said that zucchini got some kind of, what that guy say? The zucchini martini bikini. The old slap chop guy. Vince with the slap chop. Anyway,
hey, man, it makes a lot of sense, especially here in South Louisiana. As you know, JR, you get a lot of those same dishes, gravies, rice and gravies, pork steaks and gravy, just gravy.
Now I'm making me hungry again.
And I like it too, because if you're pre-diabetic, you got some health thing, you need to not put so much salt, you need to not put so much butter. You could tame it and use other alternatives. There's ways to get around stuff.
Yep.
There's it might not taste exactly the same, but it's close enough if you actually care that you'll do it. You know what I mean?
For sure. But yeah, man, I just found that to be super interesting.
It is.
But it completely makes sense that would be a good indicator. And at the end of the article, the last thing it says is like, what do you take away from this? He's like, well, to put it bluntly, it means we're in a recession. Like,
well,
okay.
Hey, if not that we go down any conspiracy roads on this show, but you do know who owns Smithfield, who owns all the pork farms in the Carolinas. Oh, that's our good buddies over there, the Red Nation of China. They own all of Smithfield. Is not American. That's really? All on. Yep. All. I don't know the number. It's a huge number of our pork production here in America is owned by the head company, not the one it says it's owned by, but the one that owns that company is China. So
wow.
True story.
I know that you can tie everything back, a majority of things that are distributed around the United States back to like 100 companies.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
98% of America's commerce goes back to the head parent of one of the top 100 companies.
Yep.
It
This blew my mind when I saw this,
Yeah.
you know. But you know, and
It's a
hey,
wild
but that
world
goes back
we
to
live in, boys.
unless you live in a big city and you can still find a local butcher there that you can source. I mean, try to source some of that stuff yourself, especially if you're worried about it. Find out what you're doing, read a label.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say a minute ago. The other thing about cooking at home too is you have to actually sit there and wait a second. You're not just sitting in line or sitting at a table playing on your phone until someone brings you this prepared food. You got to get the plate, set the table, get the cups, you know, chop it up, do it up, and you take some time, some effort. You care about it more, and you know it's a better experience, and it's probably more the way we're supposed to be living, not, you know,
absolutely
stuff given to us all the time. Now it's a reward to go out, not expected. You know.
Yeah, no, it is. You got to. And speaking of sourcing your food, it's funny. I was hanging out with a good buddy Scott Dothard over the weekend, fraternity brother, older than me, talking about the respect guys. You know, what I mean, he was my
Same.
ward.
Oh yeah, love
so
Dothard.
He's the guy, but we got to talking about like that whole regenerative farming and the guys that were on like Rogan. Have y'all seen those guys? Those farmers out of Georgia. Okay, so he spent some time with them over there because he's a farmer too. So now he's doing the same thing where he's bringing in, you know, he's planting certain plants in the fields where he's growing strawberries. Strawberries times are coming now, so he's got that out there. Then he'll put out I think it goes cows and goats and chickens, or hogs and then chickens. You know what I mean? Kind of works himself down and finishes maybe with the chickens or the goats. Yeah, there's the goats and the chickens. And then he starts farming, you know, so, and he's repurposed or, you know, bringing that soil back to a level of where it should be. So you're not just beating that soil to death.
Right.
And all these fertilizers, they're just ruining the soil because it turns your soil to sand. So,
and
you know, it's really
dead
interesting.
zones in the Gulf, the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, all the runoff crap. Yeah, so really interesting, man, like these people. But now, of course, those guys, they're the kind of the feds are kind of going after them,
of course.
You know, isn't that crazy? You know what I mean? Like, so they have to watch the way they say it and how they word it and what they do because suddenly that's bad, you know. So
that's incredible.
But
that's the way it's going to have to be. You have to look at the Dust Bowl, look at all the big catastrophes in the world that's happened because of not doing that. You know, they're doing it in other countries now. We have to figure out a way. That's awesome. Dothard, legend. And he had to be, I saw the picture with our the brother Patton, love him, legend. And then my number one all time little buddy, best buddy, Lee Hussey. That's my number one. Talking about people I look up to. God, Lee's like,
I got to go flounder
like
giggle with them boys, man.
brother.
That was so fun. That was so fun.
Man. Yeah, and everybody on the group text was like, "Who is that? Is that Dothard?" I'm like, "Of course it is. He looks thin." I thought he's been working. All y'all sitting up in the air conditioning. Dothard's out there getting after it.
That's it.
I bet he still got a heavy right hand too. We were talking about Bo. I bet Dothard's still got a heavy right hand.
You think
my gosh,
swinging a 22-ounce e-swing, building a fence.
I wouldn't want it.
6'4.5".
Yeah, I'm good. Blasi, you ran into somebody else too, didn't you, over the weekend? Somebody from the Bubba Army.
Absolutely, man. I was hanging out at Props Brewery, just stopped in there literally to watch the end of that Georgia Tech Florida State game, which was crazy. Yeah. And so I watched the last 2 minutes, and I'm standing out front, and I was about to go. I had one beer and was leaving. I just wanted to see the end of that. And this guy comes up to me and was like, "Hey, man," he said, are you Blasi, the one-man posse? You know, and I was just like, yeah. You know, he's like, "Man, I'm big time Bubba Army, you know, for a long time." He said, "I just came up here. I knew you were around here, so I thought I'd run into you. And I heard something about Big Russ." And I was like, "That's got to be him." You know, so I just want to go ahead and say hello. So big shout out to my buddy awesome. Craig Kelly there. Yeah, him and his wife came up. They were super nice, super cool people. So shout out to them, man. Appreciate y'all coming up in the hammock bay coming to say hello, because it was a little bit like, "Oh, I didn't mean to bother. Dude, you're not bothering me. You kidding me? Please come say hello."
Right.
Please,
that's right. And look, Bubba Army, I'm going to go ahead and announce this. If any of you guys are LSU fans, I know there are some of you that are because you've talked to me. Jay Rochelle, I'm looking at you. Our tailgate by the Indian Mounds, Cajun Tiger tailgate. You cannot miss it. You can't miss it. We're the only milk truck bus. I call them milk trucks. It was like an old milk truck bus that we've put a roof on top of. It has a roof. You can climb up the attic. We're the only truck with a roof view overlooking gorgeous and beautiful Death Valley. So come hang out with us.
It is a heck of a setup. That is awesome. Because that's where I hung out when I was there. I was on top of that roof up there. That was
just let us know so Bubba cool. Army is in the house. We'll announce it.
Yeah,
that's sweet.
We're gonna have some fun.
Heck yeah.
Tiggy has some plans, boys. Some tailgate, some interviews from the tailgate plan this year that I think is going to be a lot of fun. Thanks to having some good mics that we can have now to pop that we gave a good test run at props. It's going to work fabulous for some hilarious content, I do believe, this year.
Oh, that's going to be awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That's going to be
interview
awesome.
people. And by the time like 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a game day of a 7 o'clock kick, your boy here is probably going to ask some interesting questions.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. You need to just let people interview you.
Do what?
You just need to let people interview you, ask you questions at that point.
Those are out there. That footage does exist out in the world. They come by. It's crazy, that spot. We always have whoever's doing the game, ESPN, CBS, whatever. I guess it'll be ABC a lot now this year. But they're always come up there to get B-roll footage and stuff for the game because we are, it's happening. It's a happening spot. That whole little area is happening.
Do you still have that video footage of those guys that were doing that documentary on tailgating in the Southeastern Conference? And that little bit that you showed me was phenomenal.
I have that interview. Anywhere? Yes. I need to put that out somewhere.
You do. That is so good, man. You were in a good spot, man. You were having a big time.
I felt no pain. I know it didn't, because they did that documentary did come out finally. It was the SEC thing, and I never saw myself in it. I never saw our tailgate. I can't believe it.
How did that not make the cut? Like, that just kind of blew my mind.
Dude,
that was pretty special.
I think on a scale of 1 to 100, if they interviewed 100 people on that day, I was probably at about number like 86, if we're going to be fair. Maybe 87, Blasi.
Yeah,
Speaking of 87, you sent us a picture today of a young Blasi, the one-man posse, mean mugging a camera, didn't you?
I did, man. That was crazy. My buddy Marty Campbell sent me a link, and he said, check out this YouTube page I found. He said it was a pep rally from 1987 at Opp High School. And he said, there's an image. He said, go to the 1430 mark. I'm like, how did he dissect this thing down? First of all, I wouldn't even recognize myself. He said, the 1430 mark of this YouTube clip, he said, it's you and Alex Davis. We sitting next to each other. He said, it's a real good image of you. And that's the part that I was able to show. Cause there's a couple other times you keep watching it where it just comes in. There it was, man, camera scans right on me. I kind of look over at the camera like, what's up? I think I had some sort of a shoulder pad action going on. Like, I kind of tried to zoom in on that. I mean, this is 87,
They wore pads. We wore pads back then under our shirts.
That was a little bit built up there, I think, so.
I forgot about
so cool.
those.
So, but yeah, I appreciate that, Marty.
Shirts.
But we were talking about wrestling earlier, and one of my favorites growing up, just because of the look and the attitude and the whole deal, was Sid. Sid Udy, if you want to call him Psycho Sid, Sid Vicious, Sid Justice. He went by many names. I think he was that was the Punisher, the Master of Pain. I mean, early on, but Sid was huge, tall, blonde guy from West Memphis, Arkansas. I mean, he had the title. He beat Hogan in the ring for the title.
That's
he
right.
was huge.
He did, didn't he?
Fun facts about him, though. One was that the reason his run wasn't more than you think it is, because this is from what I've heard now. Smart Mark's going to beat me up for this, but the long and short of it was he loved playing softball. So his men's league softball, all his softball stuff took precedent over wrestling stuff.
That's
crazy, isn't it?
And he broke his leg. He had an infamous thing where he jumped off the top rope and came down and broke his leg in half, like in the ring.
Oh, my God.
That set him back big time.
I remember that. Yes.
And one of the and he was a part of one of the most infamous segments, vignettes ever done in any wrestling organization of all time, was the introduction of the Shockmaster. Shockmaster was coming in to help Sting and against Sid and some other bad guys. And the Shockmaster comes through, breaks through. It's a guy in his big silver, Star Wars looking helmet. He breaks through, and it's actually Tugboat or, can't remember his name, but it was actually a wrestler everybody knew. But he comes through in this hat, and it was Ole Anderson talking like, so it wasn't the guy in the mask talking. It was like, up here, it's Oli, who was ridiculous. But the guy comes through, and they didn't practice, so he's busting through like this sheetrock. Y'all have to watch this video. It's infamous as the most botched gimmicks of all time. This guy, this was his introduction to WCW. This happens. He wrestles one more time and disappears because it was too pathetic to go.
I remember. Yes.
He goes through. So Blasi, he goes through. They say, I'll tell you who's going to be our third partner. This is Sting. I'll tell you who our third partner is going to be. It's none other than the Shockmaster. And boom, he breaks through the drywall. But they had a crossbar of a 2x4 at the bottom that they didn't remove as a brace. So he trips on it, falls. His helmet comes off. He's scrambling to get it up. He digs it's like he's coming around the truck and he catches his shin on the hitch.
The hitch.
That was it. So he comes through the gate, raw, and falls. And most everybody's just trying not to laugh on stage. And Sid, being a pro, held to it. He's just still fuming and, I'm going to get you. I don't care, blah, blah, blah. He sticks with the gimmick. He doesn't laugh. But in the back, you see, I think it's like Booker T or somebody. And they're wanting to break, like on Saturday Night Live when they want to break, you know.
Yeah.
But it was so bad,
that,
y'all. It was so bad.
I remember it because
crazy.
I thought that I remember watching and being like, that is the dumbest thing. What do they think they're doing? Like I thought they did it on purpose, like to sabotage him because he wasn't there after that. Like I just thought that
was his introduction.
The way they were exiting him,
they were going to bring him in as a big like a big player, like
they did with The Rock this year. But
but
he was at that time he was maybe not as big as The Rock, but in terms of the size then. Yeah. I mean, he was big.
Oh yeah. This was breaking in the main stage, going against Sid, who's fighting against the champion, Sting. I mean, it's flares in the background. I mean, it's the creme de la creme from that territory at the time, and he just botched the entrance. But Sid held to it, didn't laugh. Yeah, this glittery thing, and then Oli talking, so the guy was never going to talk. It was just a terrible idea by some old guys who didn't know what was up at the territory, you know, at the time.
Well before Eric Bischoff got into
and
town.
Not that. I mean, you just have to change some things up. You have to, evolve. And I think like that was just a terrible idea. And they must not have had any oversight if they went ahead with it and actually did it after they talked about it for months, and then still thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, to me that's about as bad as Goldust. I never got the Goldust thing either.
So
I mean, I wanted to like it.
I loved it,
but you loved it. See,
yep,
I mean, you either
Goldust.
Loved it or you did. I didn't hate it. I just
thought
like
it was ridiculous.
I just thought we could do something else with him than that.
Yeah.
But whatever.
They took it down some weird roads. That was a weird time
did.
In wrestling, though. That was adult wrestling.
It was a weird time. Val Venus.
Then they dialed it back down
after
it got too stupid. Then they dialed it back down to kids now. It dialed up for a minute though. It was TNA. I mean,
yes, it
promotion.
was.
It was. I mean, they were out there. It was ridiculous.
I think what they figured out is they know that they have to crank that dial just about in February.
Yeah.
Just to get you to WrestleMania and build it just like they did. And in like this summer, it kind of went back down. Now SummerSlam comes, the storylines are picking up, and now they're starting to kind of take off, but they're really going to double down after Christmas.
Right.
It's so fun.
But they can't. I mean, just because the world we live in now, they can't do the stuff they did for that one.
No, they
era
cannot.
in time. They didn't do it before that. It was more like
literal
TNA
matches
match before that.
What the match was called.
Yeah,
Stacy Keibler and good Lord, Trish Stratus and
it was just crazy. People get killed and stuff. They don't do that anymore.
No. Well, anyhow, we ended up talking a little bit of wrestling here at the end of this.
I know. Well,
I love it.
R.I.P. Sid.
Yes.
He was a great one. Go watch some Sid matches. And also lost this past week a legend that I've heard records. Everybody's heard the record, whether you did or not, because he had 20 or 30 of them. They were all modern jazz standards. David Sanborn passed last week, jazz legend. If you want to hear some smooth music, go download you some David Sanborn this afternoon. You can go get that. Start with that song, "The Dream," and go that way. That's 1987. That's the background to everywhere everybody was walking around in 1980. Every movie background. That was that progressive jazz fusion type thing. Yeah, good stuff. But he passed. He had a battle with cancer, but he was still on the road when he passed.
Man, he was still rocking and rolling.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, JR, you put us on that put us on some Chuck Berry.
How good was
that
that?
album? Man, I can't quit listening to it. I've
crazy,
never
right?
heard it. I had no idea that dude did that with a guitar. I knew that he was always, considered one of the best and all that, but that's the most I never heard him in what I would call a modern sound.
Right. Yeah.
But that was modern.
Yeah.
That was cool though. That was super cool. We sat there in Boog's garage, and that's the first thing Boog went to. DJ Boog had to go diving on that one. He was like, "Man, I never heard this."
He hadn't heard it either, huh?
Nope, he had not.
Wow.
That's kind of unusual for It's a good find there, buddy.
That's
yeah.
great.
I'll let y'all
this
simmer
one
on that
will be
for
a
a
good
few
one,
more
too.
weeks, and I'll drop another one. I got a stack
I love it.
that's but it blows my mind that people don't know, and some of these people,
Yeah.
it's like, how did this not? How it's so good? How does everybody not know about this?
I know,
You know.
man. I know.
But anyway,
Well,
I'm glad y'all
go
enjoyed
listen
it.
to him.
And hey,
Yeah.
like, how about the poem when it gets to where he just reads that poem about his house?
Oh man,
How cool is that?
Just
Chuck
so
Berry
cool.
did all that.
Had no idea.
Nope.
No idea whatsoever that he did that, man.
Y'all go listen to Chuck Berry,
Fantastic.
San Francisco Dudes. Download the whole
That's
record.
it.
Start from the beginning, y'all. Thank me later.
1,000,000%. I've listened to it probably 15 times since
So good.
we did that show. Literally, seriously. I listened to it 3 times that night. I couldn't get enough of it. It's that good.
It is
That
good.
All righty, boys. Well, let's hop out of here, and we'll see everybody next week.